some tea.
You know what? I don't really think you don't know it.
You're not an avid tea drinker?
Thanks so much.
Mostly just
An extra copy of my resume for you and an application letter.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to take you through what we're going to do. We're going to first go over 6 questions, and then if any time during the interview you want to ask anything or clarify anything, you are free to do that and stop me and I'll clarify. And afterward you can ask any questions as well. So I looked over your resume and I noticed that you had a lot of work experience and your education is a big chunk as well. So you want to tell me how your work and education experiences have prepared you for this position?
Yeah, sure. I definitely have a lot of retail experience. I think all my jobs have involved retail of some kind, and I have a lot of experience working with people, both like customers and then employees, coworkers, bosses, and all my jobs have been fairly centered on customer service. When I worked at a golf course in a couple different areas, and it was a private course. It was very centered on making the members happy and like pleasing them and bending over backwards for them. And then when I worked at a bookstore, which I loved, it was very centered on helping customers. Like we always tried, especially at the customer service desk, we tried to help them, like not just like point them in the direction of where a book is, but actually walk them there, pick it up, give it to them, and ask them if we could help with anything else. And there was a lot of work between employees everywhere. You work together at Jamba Juice, you work together to make a smoothie, you work together if you had an unhappy customer, you sort of like move up the chain of command and try to make them in a better mood and pleased with their experience overall.
I'm glad to hear about all your experiences with working with customers. That's what we were working with. So now that we have talked about what's prepared you, can we go over a few hypothetical situations?
Sure.
So the first situation is in terms of disciplining other employees.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam has on several occasions made negative or inappropriate comments to a few clients. For example, yesterday in yoga class, Sam was overheard saying, "Jolene, did you forget your deodorant today? Perhaps you should stand near a window." So how would you discipline Sam's behavior?
I think that discipline isn't probably the word I would choose to start with. I would probably ask to speak to her in my office or cubicle or whatever space I'm getting and bring her in privately, offer her some tea, talk to her a little bit, and see how she's feeling with her position, and if she's feeling comfortable with what she's having to do, sort of feel her out, see how her life outside of work is going. Maybe she's been really stressed lately, and then I would bring up like, hey, I've heard that you've made some comments that have made clients feel uncomfortable or feel upset, and so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of those comments and maybe different ways that you can interact with the customer or with the clients, because I'm sure she didn't mean it. She probably meant it as a joke or something like that, but sometimes things don't carry across that way and the message wasn't received as she intended it. So yeah, so I guess that's what I would start with, and then just talking to her, figuring out where she's at, and then if the comments and stuff continued, then I would probably give her a little bit more of a straightforward, like, this behavior needs to change conversation.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that you would deal it with a more subtle approach and then working your way toward, yeah. So can we go over a mediation hypothetical situation?
Sure.
So we currently have 3 front desk workers. Jordan and Ryan have been complaining about Lizzie's work style. Lizzie has consistently left the desk unorganized, forcing another employee to pick up after her. They have brought this to your attention so that you can mediate the situation. So how would you go about doing this?
Okay, well, I would just get all 3 of them. It was Jordan, Lizzie, and Kyle? Ryan, dang it. Okay. I would get the 3 of them to sit down and have a conversation, and I would be there and sort of ask them to each share their point of view on the situation and what their role has been in the conflict, and sort of try to figure out where they're all coming from, and figure out the outside influences on the situation, because Jordan and Ryan are upset that the desk has been messy, and like, presumably they're the ones who have to pick it up, and Lizzie hasn't been doing her share. So just try to figure out where she's coming from, and if there are reasons for that, and if there are reasons, then trying to find solutions to those problems, and if not, then just sort of trying to get her to do her fair share and say, like, it's important that everyone participates and leaves the work area in the same condition that they found it.
I'm happy to hear that you would mediate the situation between all three people. In terms of, I'm glad that you told me about your employee behavior in terms of mediation. So can we go over what interests you have about this position in the organization?
When I read the job description, I was really excited because I think that women's body image, and especially self-esteem and women's health in young girls, is such a growing problem in our society today, and it's really upsetting and sad. And on a personal level, I mean, I read all your staff bios, and it seems like all of you have a pretty big passion for helping with this, because you've been through something like that as you were growing up, and I mean, I definitely have too. I think most people have, and I think that it's something that can just sort of bring stress into every aspect of your life. If you're not comfortable with who you are, or the way you look, or the way you're presenting yourself to other people, then you don't succeed in school, you don't succeed in the workforce, in friends, in social situations, and it can really, people don't realize how much of an impact it has on every area of your life. And so I think that it's incredibly cool that you guys are trying to help with this through your retreats and classes, and getting women to feel comfortable, because every woman is beautiful, and everyone should be able to find something that they love about themselves and let that show through. And I would be honored to be a part of making that happen.
I'm glad to hear that you feel that what direction our organization is moving in. So can I ask you one more role-playing question?
Mm-hmm.
Taylor works in our 24-hour hotline and has access to personal data of clients. Taylor is overheard making insensitive comments regarding Rhonda's personal issues with her weight and size in the presence of the client herself. So the client heard her talking about her,
Okay.
who came in that day for yoga class. Rhonda later calls the Human Resources Department to complain about Taylor and her insensitivity and violation of privacy. So I will be calling the organization, so I'll be Rhonda,
Okay.
and see how you would handle the phone conversation. So how would you answer the phone, continuing on?
Okay. Beautiful Imperfections, Human Resource Department. This is Amanda. How can I help you?
Hello, I'm a client of your organization. When I came in today, I heard upsetting comments about my weight and felt offended.
Okay. I'm really sorry to hear about that. Was it was one of our employees, or it was a fellow client you heard this from?
It was your employee named Taylor, because it's on her badge.
Okay. And you were offended because she was talking about you in an inappropriate way?
Yeah, I was taking yoga classes, and of course, it's not always like the best time of the day, because that's when you need to relax. And I was relaxing and doing my thing, and she all of a sudden like turned to someone else, and I heard her commenting and saying how I needed deodorant, and how I was big, and how I like didn't look good.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That is definitely a beautiful imperfection, something that we don't ever want to happen, nor do we feel that it's okay that it does happen. So that's definitely something we will be speaking to Taylor about, and making sure never happens again. Let me just ask you, you're calling just because you want to voice your concern, or is there any specific action that you would like taken?
I just want to know how you guys could hire an employee that treats people this way for this kind of organization.
Yeah, you know what, Rhonda, I feel the same way, and I'm honestly appalled that this did happen, and I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Let me assure you that the appropriate steps will be taken in regards to Taylor and what she said and the way she behaved, and that something like this should never happen, and we will do our very best to make sure it never happens again. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
No, thank you.
Okay, you have a good day, Rhonda. I hope I see you at yoga class next week. Bye.
Thank you. thank you for role playing. I'm glad to see how you would deal with direct clients. So one last question is, describe the expectations of a beautiful imperfection employee and the values they should embody.
I think that inner beauty seems to be a big theme, and I think when you love who you are, it shows in your confidence, in the way you interact with people. So really focusing on loving the person that you are, as well as being the person you want to become. Something that I saw that was really big on your website was God, and I loved that because God has helped me through so much in my life, and I think people, it's great how much that you can lean on God, and I think that focusing on living a healthy lifestyle in general, in all areas, like being active, doing yoga, having a good relationship with God, whatever God that might be or not be, I guess. Having a healthy diet, you know, getting exercise, balancing your time between work and friends and family, and just trying to live a balanced lifestyle to be the happiest that you can be.
Thank you. So we all went over your previous experience. We role-played a little bit with direct clients, hypothetical situations in mediation and discipline, and your interest in the organization and the expectations of an employee. Is there anything you'd like to add to anything you've already said?
I don't think so. I think that I am a very passionate person. I love throwing myself into whatever I'm doing. And this is definitely a cause that I feel strongly about, and it's one that affects so many people and goes under the radar so much that I think it would be a really good opportunity to get involved in and be a part of.
Do you have any questions about any of the things that we talked about? Or do you have any questions for us?
Okay, so the position is Human Resources Assistant, and I read that the Human Resources Chair is Ms. Taylor. How closely would I be working with her? Would I be working directly under her, sort of side by side with her at times? Would she be delegating to me and telling me what to do, or would I have more free reign? How does that position really work?
So we're a very small organization.
Mm-hmm.
We have 5 founders, and we mainly work with volunteers with our organization.
Okay.
It's nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So you would we wanted to put a person that can pretty much do things on their own, and then when things really come up where you really need help, that's why charity's there.
Okay.
So that way we can unload the stress on the 5 people and kind of make it branch out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's really good because if Charity or any of the other founders needed me to do something, I could definitely do it. But I'm also good with sort of self-delegating and doing what needs to be done as far as what was on the job description with employee-clientele relations, employee relations, stuff like that.
I'm glad to hear that.
One more thing, I read on the section about the retreats that there's a focus on God and spirituality and stuff, which I personally love, but if you had a client who wasn't as religiously inclined, are those parts of the retreats that they could sit out on, or how does that get dealt with?
I'm sure that we can work something out for them to have a different schedule in terms of well, the thing is with our retreats there are different sections, but you can go to yoga class or you can go to the religious classes that more focus on the spiritual aspect. So they can, yeah, that's right. Okay. So they can go to the different section. They don't necessarily have to participate in the religious aspect of it.
Okay.
So
I was just curious. All right, I think that's all.
So you should be hearing back from us in about a week.
All right, perfect.
And I'm glad that you came in today. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me.
Thank you so much.